Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to pay our respects to their elders, past, present, and emerging. Hello everyone, and welcome to Bouncing Back, the Personal Resilience Science Insights podcast produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We are champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week, we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I am your host, Joanna. Let's get started.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. Today we will be exploring eco-friendly habits and how we can be more resilient and climate conscious in today's polluted world. More and more consumers around the world seek out a more eco-friendly lifestyle. In fact, more than half of Australian shoppers say sustainability is an important factor when making a retail purchase. But what can we realistically do to achieve this? Joining us to guide us in this episode is Dr. Kehinde Taylor, researcher at University of Kiel, Germany. He recently completed his postdoctoral research at the Department of Waste and Resource Management at the Technical University of Braunschweig. He holds both a PhD and a master's degree in environmental management and sustainability from the Institute of Ecosystem Research at the University of Kiel in Germany, and a Bachelor of Science degree from Lagos State University in Nigeria. Dr. Alan Taylor's expertise spans a wide range of sustainability-focused areas, including environmental policy, waste management, corporate social responsibility, climate change, the circular economy, and environmental, social, and governance frameworks. His interdisciplinary research tackles complex environmental and socio-economic challenges, particularly those affecting Nigeria and other rapidly developing African economies. He is deeply committed to translating academic research into practical, actionable insights that influence sustainable development policy and practice across sectors and regions. So welcome to the show. It's a great pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you for having me, Sarah. Very pleasure to be here this morning. And it's nice
Of course.
just to go through these things all together and see the path at which it's more favorable to the environment, to the human, and as well as to the society as a whole.
Yeah, it's a really important topic. I wanted to ask you firstly, just to get started, what inspired you to pursue studies in sustainability?
Well, basically, I think it's important that first of all, my environment is very crucial to me. I had my background in botany from Lagos State University, and that has inspired me to be more interested in how sustainable the environment is going to be. And with that, coming from a developing country, so I think it's very much important to gain more knowledge, basically as the world is rapidly developing. So I moved to Germany to study environmental management and sustainability, to have a view about this area and this field. And over the years, that's been great, nice, and interesting part of my journey.
Wow, that's really inspiring, and that's a great introduction to our topic as well. But before we go any further, we'd like to get to know you a little bit better. So my get to know you questions for you. What do you like to do in your spare time?
Well, in my spare time, to be honest, I watch TV, I listen to news, and I'll do a bit of research about where the world is going to, how the world is affecting, how we as human affects the world, and what we can also do to improve ourselves in our daily habit lives as well. That's what
Yeah,
I do
that's a
in my
great
spare time.
answer. Yeah. And what is a book or a movie that you've enjoyed recently?
Well, there's one particular book that I just read, and it's quite very interesting. And I'll tell anybody that wants to, have knowledge, not even if they are not even in the area of sustainability, and they have an interest to know much about sustainability. I would advise that one of the book I recommend is A Common Future. I think people don't know this, but it's very important that this book is very, very important. It talks about the World Commission of Environment and the development over the years. And this book was probably enacted in 1983. But over the years, if you read it, It talks about what is going to happen in the future and what has been happening right now.
Wow, that's a fantastic recommendation. Thank you for sharing that. Do you listen to podcasts? Is there a podcast that you've been listening to recently?
Yes, I have been listening to one or two podcasts, and that one that I listen to right now is from Christiana and Figures, and it's about they talk about the common future we choose. And then one other one that I listen to is also a hopeful yet under guidance of climate change actions. These are very wonderful podcasts that I listen to most times.
Yeah, great recommendations. My next question for you is, do you have a role model either in your personal life or professionally?
Yes, I do. I probably first of all, I have a professional role model which I look up to. One of them is my professor. I highly
Hmm.
recommend that. His name is Professor Bock. He taught me about the power of resiliency, the power of how to see the world holistically, and he has been one of my greatest mentor. I won't lie to you. Uh, it's been so wonderful. He's now retired. He's from University of Kiel. He's from Kiel here in Germany, but he's now retired.
Yeah, that's an amazing answer. It's great to have really interesting professors. They really inspire me to learn more. I always found so that's a great answer. And on that, is there a course or a class that you've taken that has inspired you?
Yes, definitely. I have probably taken circular economy as a class, environmental waste management as well. I've taken corporate social responsibility classes, and these three classes, I can advise anybody if even though you're not in the area of sustainability, like I mentioned previously, it's important to see what are important in terms of becoming environmental friendly. And these three courses that I make mention, circular economy, sustainability strategy, and corporate social responsibility, allows you to know more about all this area that we will talk about soon.
Yeah, it's definitely important to learn more about it. So, we're going to dive in now to our questions. First of all, I wanted to get some of the basic definitions down. So, firstly, how would you define personal resilience?
Hmm, that's a very nice questions. I think it's peculiar to people. It's peculiar to how you see it. But for me, I would rather say it's an ability to adapt, recover, and as well as to grow in strength in the face of stress, adversity, and in the face of change. I believe it's important to maintain emotional balance during these times and also to maintain mental clarity. I also believe it's important to rise to the challenge at any level, and as well as to experience a change that could put you ahead of your pathway.
Yeah, that's a really great answer, very concise. And how would you define the term eco-friendly?
Well, I think it's important that people know that eco-friendly it's a circular description. It has to do with action or product or probably um, uh, how people behave in terms of minimizing the effect that affect the environment. I believe it's important that s- it comprises of sustainability, it comprises of natural resources, comprises of reducing pollution, it comprises of supporting practices that protect the environment and the ecosystem. So that's my short definition about eco-friendly.
Yeah. And how would you say that resilience is related to living an eco-friendly lifestyle?
Wow, that's a very that's a very nice one. I think, like I said, resilience is a part of going in strength, trying to go in an adaptation. So, and like I said again, eco-friendly is about behavior that probably minimized the harmful effect of the environment. So, if you compare these two, I think it all goes together to give you an a personal life that shapes your understanding, your behavior to maintain what are necessary and what are not important and what are uh, probably essential. So, with this resilience, personal resilience, and eco-friendly, like I said, resilience is peculiar to people, different understanding. But I can tell you that the resilience means that you should try to do things that is very not harmful to the environment, and then that are also probably would protect the environment, in my own opinion, related to eco-friendly.
Yeah. And can you tell us about the biggest environmental challenges that are impacting the world today?
Wow. I think if you ask the questions, it's very important that we know that basically everybody knows that the climate change is one of the biggest challenges that we have now. We have plastic pollution, we have deforestation, we have loss of biodiversity, we have water scarcity, especially in developing countries. We have air pollution, you know, uh, based on that has been linked to different changes and also linked to climate change as well. And those are these things that I can remember right now, but I think there are still more, which if I can remember from the course of our discussion, I will probably put it forward.
Yeah, sure. No, those are definitely some of the first ones that I think come to people's mind and the biggest challenges that we're facing right now. And the ones that we hear about the most, on the news as well, always climate change, plastic pollution, and air pollution definitely come up probably, I find, the most often. So, moving on now to building that personal resilience and what we can actually do in our lives. What are some of the common misconceptions that you think people might have about living an eco friendly lifestyle?
Well, I think they think probably is expensive, which is not. They think probably it is challenging, which is not, and they think it's probably, in fact, the little habits you do every day, the little changes you adapt to every day brings eco-friendly habits, and these things are what makes our environment sustainable. So it's never sustainable, it's never high, it's never very expensive, it's never high costly. And I think the little energy we save in our house is part of how we channel to this angle. It's part of how we move to this eco-friendly and direction. And I also think that it's important that we all look at this together. It's important that we all do little things that amount to bigger changes. And that of the little things that I talked about now is trying to minimize waste and trying to reduce cost of electricity, and also trying to adapt environmental friendly habits that does not harm the environment.
Yeah. And when people are trying to do these things, what challenges do you think they most often face?
Well, I think adaptation is very, very difficult, especially if you are ha, um, leap back in a kind of a behavior over the time. It's very, very hard, and that is why it's important to educate more. Environmental education is very important. That changes the behavioral habit of people, and I think also the constraining factor of affordability. Can people really afford these things? So that's those are the misconception, and those are the problems and challenges that is around sustainability lifestyle.
Yeah. And do you think that living a more eco friendly or sustainable lifestyle requires a lot of discipline?
I think it's important to be disciplined about it. I think it's important to also have a mindset that is involved around change. And I think it's also important to highly accept uh, things that you believe, in your own opinion, it's right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And how do you think that if people were able to adopt these small changes in their lives that maybe they once thought they were challenging, but they're able to do them, how does this improve those people's lives?
For example, I talked about little things. If you minimize waste, it helps you live in a very clean environment. If you're not polluting the environment, it makes you live in an environment that is favorable, that has a good air condition, a good air, sorry, air quality. And then, like I said, it's important to also look into various habits that can improve your life personally in terms of coming around eco-friendly, in terms of energy efficiency, in terms of reduced consumption, in terms of consumption habit, reduction of consumption habit, and I also think it's important to connect these things holistically to the natural environment and the natural community as well.
Yeah. And we are going to get eventually in the podcast to talking about what kind of habits we can employ. But do you think that they could actually be saving people money?
Yes, eco-friendly habits definitely will save money. Like I said, yeah, if you go to the market, to the grocery store, and you have to buy something packaged in plastics, you could as well find the one that is probably wrapped with a kind of a thread that saves a lot of the environmental cost, not for the people, but for the government themselves that takes care of the environment and for you as well. And these are the daily habits that allows you save costs.
Yeah, that
Now,
makes sense as
in my
well.
opinion, yeah.
Yeah. And is there any evidence that living sustainably has an effect on mental health?
But definitely, yes, definitely. Uh, Imagine you live in an environment that is meant that is probably um, have a lot of air pollution, a lot of plastic waste, a lot of probably deforestation. You know, if you live in that kind of environment, you will not have that opportunity to live comfortably because of different um, um, harms could come from that. Probably different diseases could also come from that, and it could affect your mental health.
Yeah, that makes sense as well. You don't want to be living in a place where it's polluted or diseases are more common. Would definitely affect your quality of life as well as your mental health. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, what ways would you say that eco-friendly habits are being applied in workplaces?
Um, for example, um, um, I know of a government organization, even in Nigeria, that they had to tell the staff of this organization not to use single-use plastics, and these are part of how it affects and how it helps. A little habit helps a lot in terms. Those are adaptation. So this little habit, one can also take it home, and as well as helps in living in living in daily ways that improve mental health and as well as improve sustainability living. So this habit was done in Nigeria, and in every environmental ministry, they don't use single-use plastic. It is banned as well, and this is an effect that has happened, and these are how it helps improve uh, as well.
Yeah, wow, that's really impressive. And so, what policies and practices can companies put in place to encourage that sustainable workplace?
Well, I think it's important to be very, very um, um, sincere about applying sustainability at workplace. I think it's important to change the quality of, if there's a company that produces plastic, for example, it is important to change the route for circularity. And if it's an administrative big companies or organization, I think it's important to um, educate their employers about sustainability lifestyle, and as well as not encourage single-use plastics, and as well as continue to overhaul their administrative or public sustainability department in trying to educate continuously their staffs on how to live a daily habits life that helps the environment. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Well, speaking of education, do you think that eco friendly habits and sustainability habits should be taught in schools?
Yeah, I think I wrote in my master thesis some years ago. I wrote about integrating environmental education in the school curriculum. Yeah, I wrote that, and I think it's important to see how we can introduce that in overall systems, not only in the school but in every place of work. And during that time, I understood that if probably um, English is probably as a subject in the university or in the high school, if mathematics is there as a subject, it's important to also carve out some aspect of the environment that is important. I think India has done that already. They include environmental education in their school curriculum. I think so, if I'm right. I think I read about that some times ago. So, and I believe it's very important to also introduce this habit. Or probably if we have a course that is similar to that already, it's important to integrate that course as environmental education. And I think kids, it's important for kids who are the future of tomorrow to have holistic understanding of what will happen in the environment if they don't take care of it. So I believe it should be taught in school.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great answer. I think for me, most sustainability was taught in geography class, which was great. But geography class is all about populations and different cultures of the world and all the countries. And I feel like it's getting to the point now where maybe we should be having a separate class just for sustainability and just for climate change and those big issues that are present in living sustainably because putting it into a class like geography, there's almost too much to cover. Would you agree with that?
Yes, I do. That's
Yeah.
exactly what inspired me to write about environmental education as a separate course in the school curriculum because I've seen that they put the geography, they put, like you said, they put a little bit of the environment in geography, they put a little bit of the environment in integrated science. I don't know, maybe you have that as well in your school. So I think it's important as to look at where the world is going right now because during those times that they put it, we don't have enough knowledge about where the world is going. But right now that we have enough knowledge about the diversity of how we want our world to look like, it's important to create or to carve out a course for that as a separate course and to be taught in school, like you said.
Yeah, that makes sense. And maybe it needs to be a bit more future oriented rather than just looking at past statistics and what we can do in the future. That's a, yeah, I totally agree that it should be carved out a bit more time in schools to learn about something that is so important. And my next question for you is sort of about the workplace again. Do you think that remote working is beneficial to living an eco friendly lifestyle?
Hmm. I agree with you that yes, I do agree with you because at times I work remotely because it saves costs, it saves energy as well. So I think it's important that remote work it should stay. It should stay. It should
Yeah.
stay.
Fantastic. So I'd like to move on now to our break segment, which is the next big thing. What do you think is the next big thing that could help people live a more eco friendly lifestyle?
Okay. I
It's
think
a big question.
yes, it is. That's why I say her. I think it's important. Firstly, it's peculiar. It's very peculiar, to people. What I feel with the level of my knowledge to live a sustainability lifestyle could be probably different from what someone that's not in the field of sustainability and environmental education could or environmental management could want to live as a lifestyle. What I know, knowledge of what I know, right now in terms of trying to explore the areas of environmental sustainability could help me reshape myself to live a sustainability lifestyle more better than someone that has no understanding of these things. So that's why I say it's peculiar. But however, I think it will help and it's very important to do more to let people understand that sustainability has come to stay and it's applicable to every walk of life now, which and it's important for us to adapt it and then to live according to how it will help us protect the environment and not also overuse the resource that is meant for future generation as well.
So that really goes back to education, doesn't it? Because we know more now about being sustainable, and it's important to use that knowledge to protect the future and to do more to protect the future. Do you think that that's going to be challenging for people?
Well, I think it will not be if there is a much push on continuous advocacy. And I think advocacy helps because what you hear continuously resonate on your ear continuously. So if there is more that has to be done in the area of advocacy, and the advocacy will probably help them reshape their understanding, because advocacy is like a knowledge that is being given to people, and that will enlighten their hearts to see it in a more different context. So then, if they are able to see it in a more different context, then I believe that it will help them change their daily habit, which will eventually turn to sustainability. So I don't think it's going to be challenging for them if there are much if there are much that will be done or that has to be done in the area of advocacy.
Yeah. So, can you tell me a bit more about advocacy? Do you think it's going to be effective, and what more is there to do?
Well, when I mean advocacy, advocacy is my taking attention on more of what is important that affect the daily lives of the people in that area. If you want to advocate about things, you have to get your facts right, your data right, and as well, and also to get your precise target people right. So in terms of sustainability now, I think it's important to focus more on the future leaders, the younger generation, and they will probably do more better. And it's also very important to give data to those that are in the field of policy makings to help them see how they will also push these things to help us have an environment that is not being harmful for ourselves.
Yeah, amazing. So I want to now move on to our practices and habits section. We've been talking this entire time about the little habits that can help us to live a more sustainable life. Can you give some examples of practices that you do in your life to live more sustainably?
Well, for me, in terms of thank God that Germany is I live here in Germany, and then they have this habit of waste separation. That is also one habit that helps to live and to be sustainable in nature, as well as I don't when I go to the supermarket, I don't normally buy anything that is in single-use plastics. I don't do that. Um, as well as I save energy, very much. I don't just put on my energy if I don't have a use for that. Um, I also apply my habit in my place of work as well. I don't use anything that has to uh, damage the environment or probably which I believe is not favorable for the environment. I don't do that as well. And as well as I don't also preach that as a message to people, not preach, but well, probably not preach in terms of Bible, but I mean by telling, people about what are important and what are not important. That, as well as my students as well, I tell them what are important in terms of adapting sustainability lifestyle and also prevent the environment as well. So if they come around me, they know I'm a preacher of this gospel of sustainability and environmental management, and then I'm passionate about it. I mean, it's important that we save the future for the future. It's not what we have to hold, but it's what you have to prevent.
That makes sense. Do you think that if somebody wanted to start doing the practices that you have just listed there, would they find any challenges? Do you think it would be most difficult when they are getting started and then, like, for example, have you start doing you know how you sort of start doing a habit sometimes and it's difficult in the beginning, but you get used to it as you go along and it becomes easier over time. Do you think that people will find that? Do you think they'll find it challenging?
Well, I think at first, psychologically, they can find it very challenging because they will think it's expensive. It's very hard for people to quickly change their behavior, and they and most especially, we have much of greenwashing in the environment that does not allow people to really think straight about what are necessary. But I think if they really want to start, that's why I advocate for advocacy and awareness. And these things will help them open up their minds with much of knowledge and will help them have understanding of how they will go about it. It's not hard. Trust me, it's never hard.
That's good to hear. It's not hard. That's great. Do you find that you ever set up a certain time to do a practice in your home that makes something more sustainable?
Yes, I do. I do. Personally, I do. And my daily habit is probably more sustainable. In my journey of life is probably more sustainable. For example, I think I make mention of that in my daily habit. I don't use anything that has to do with single use plastics. I don't like it because you have to not just say, you have to do what you preach and what you stand for. So, and I don't just turn on electricity to just waste that if I don't have to. I don't use necessarily water if I don't have to, because I know there are costs for regenerating the water as well. So these are small daily habits that people can also adapt and employ in their daily lives. And as well as this is what I do.
Yeah. Well, this has all been absolutely amazing advice. I'd like to move now to our open mic segment. This is your chance to talk about anything that you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be related to what we've discussed so far, but it can be because I imagine you are very passionate about it. And anything that you'd like to promote, the floor is yours in this section.
Oh, thank you. I think it's important that we look into more of diversity in every areas of our lives. I think it's important that we look into infrastructural gaps. And I think it's important that we also look into mobility that are sustainable. And part of what I'm trying to do now is to create a kind of an apps that allow people coming into the app and do all sorts of business, communal business of their day, and to allow them, live in a one communal lifestyle that allows them project whatever they want to project, that allow them get whatever they want to get, but those things are more sustainable in the app. I won't mention the name of the app right now, but I hope people will follow me on LinkedIn to see how my journey of this app will definitely affect people's life as well.
Yeah, I will link everything to do with you and your work in our show notes so that our audience can more easily find you. I just wanted to ask as well, you mentioned that there were infrastructural gaps just then. Do you have a message that you'd like to send out for perhaps governments or policymakers on how they can solve that issue?
Well, I think it's important that they look into effective public transportation. Um, you know, um, I'm not trying to praise the country I am, but I think Germany is trying in their own capacity in terms of trying to create different sustainable mobility systems for people. And I think it's more important that other people follow suit in that direction as well. And I also think it's important to create more recycling facilities, that allow more more towards the part of circular economy. Circular economy is very important. I also think that it's important to look into a zero waste value chain that allows the reduction of carbon emission in scope one, scope two, scope three. And I think, like I said, the EU, Congress of Germany, are trying to look into that with companies right now. So they have to report their sustainability index performances, which are they call the corporate social responsibility, CRDS. So these things are a pathway to where we want the future to go, and I'm passionate about it, and I'm so very happy about it because we are in the right direction as so far. I'm talking about the EU and the other countries that wants to join, and I think it's important to look at these things critically and also see the benefit of how it's going to help the natural environment.
Yeah, I really love what you said there about public transportation. I find that where I live, it's quite expensive. And I think there is some evidence for places where the prices have been reduced of using public transportation and the number of people using it has just increased so much because it's more accessible for them to use. And that's really helpful for the environment. So I'm keen to see governments doing all of the things that you have just mentioned, because it's really important to learn about the sustainability and implement it into society.
Yes, yes, and I think some country in Europe has taken the lead. Apart from Germany, I think Luxembourg has also taken the lead by reducing the public transport and giving incentives to the people in order to just use normal public transport like train, trams, and all that. And these are things that are quite very important. These are daily habits that a policymaker are putting in place to also help on the gospel of sustainability and environmental management. So these are wonderful, and I think other countries should also take this lead in this area.
Yeah. Well, I'm now going to conclude our episode with you. But first of all, if our listeners want to find out more about you and your work, where should they go?
I think the best place to go is my LinkedIn page. My LinkedIn name is Kehinde Allen Taylor. You can just Google that. You find me on LinkedIn anytime, any day. And if you want to partner, you want to talk about things that has to do with sustainability, environmental management, I'm there. Just write me up, hit me up. I will definitely hit you back as my confidency. And then just like how what we did just right now, and then we'll do our best as well to do our part. And our part is also very important in terms of getting to uh, the pathway of environmental sustainability. So hit me up at any time on my LinkedIn page. Let's collaborate. Let's do our part. Let's keep the environment safe. Let's do what we can do, and I believe we'll get there someday, somehow.
Amazing. Well, I will leave a link to your LinkedIn in our show notes so that people can easily find you. And if you do have any resources that you'd like to share with our audience, I can also leave links to those so that people can learn more about sustainability and the amazing messages that you have shared with us in this episode. So thank you again so much for joining us today. I have certainly learned a lot from you.
Thank you very much for having me, and it's a wonderful. We have a nice discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thank you. It's been so educational, and I hope that people will take on your advice. To our audience, thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next episode.
You have been listening to Bouncing Back, the Personal Resilience Science Insights podcast produced by the Life Management Science Labs. Listen to episodes from LMSL's 10 Life Management Perspectives on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or other podcasting apps on your smartphone. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps other people find it and us grow to bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website, pr.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Joanna. Thanks for tuning in.